Gen V just confirmed the boys' fight I've waited 6 years for already happened. Hey everyone, Sophia here with Breakdown Epic, and I need to start today's video with a confession. I've been waiting 6 years for a fight in the boys' universe. 6 years. And when I finally thought we'd get it on screen, Gen V came along and whispered, "Oh yeah, that already happened." Excuse me, Vought really pulled a fast one here. And if you're anything like me, your jaw probably hit the floor when you caught the hidden detail. Think about it. Since season 1 of The Boys, fans have debated who would win in a clash between Queen Maeve and The Deep. On paper, it sounds like a mismatch. But Gen V just revealed that not only did they fight, it wasn't some hypothetical daydream. It was real. It happened years before The Boys ever started, and Vought buried it like one of their dirty little secrets. So let me loop you in. If Gen V just confirmed Maeve vs. The Deep went down at Godolkin University, then we're sitting on a ticking time bomb of forbidden knowledge that could reshape the entire soup hierarchy. Because if that fight happened, what else has Vought been hiding? Now, here's the problem, and it's controversial. The Boys has always made Vought out to be this manipulative empire that controls narratives. But what happens when the story itself admits we've been robbed of a major showdown, a clash fans begged to see, and we only find out through a throwaway mention in a spinoff? That's not just sneaky. It's kind of insulting. It's like waiting years for your favorite band to release an album, and then they tell you, "Oh, we already played it live at some secret concert years ago. You missed it." Before I reveal exactly why this hidden fight matters more than you think, let me pause for 1 second. Because if you love The Boys, Gen V, and all the dark, forbidden truths behind Vought's empire, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, one click makes sure you never miss when we uncover the secrets the shows don't want you to know. Okay, back to the bombshell. Gen V Season 2, Episode 4, Biggs, sets up this huge disturbing fight where Marie and Jordan are basically forced to brutalize each other in front of a roaring arena. Cipher rigs it, Vought orchestrates it, and the whole thing is so staged you can practically smell the corruption through the screen. But while hyping that match, Vought parades some classic battles from Godolkin's past. One of them, Queen Maeve vs. The Deep. Yeah, they actually fought. The two Seven teammates, who later spent years pretending they were equals, already clashed long before Homelander ever called the shots. And this is where the secrets get juicy, because if Maeve, arguably one of the strongest soups in The Boys, had to face the Deep back in college, then either the fight was rigged like Marie and Jordan's, or it exposed just how desperate Vought was to create star power, not true champions. Let me put it bluntly, Maeve should have crushed the Deep. No contest. Super strength, combat experience, agility. The Deep's power, talking to fish. Unless that arena had a whale in the front row, it's not even close. Which makes me think, did Maeve actually lose? Or did Vought spin it to keep the Deep relevant enough to graduate into the 7? That's where this gets dark. And here's where I want to throw it back to you guys. Because honestly, I'm still processing it. If that fight really happened, do you think Vought rigged it so Maeve wouldn't completely embarrass the Deep? Or do you believe the Deep actually landed a lucky shot? Drop your theories in the comments, because I have a feeling the answer will divide fans as much as the Homelander vs. Soldier Boy debate did. Now let's dig deeper, because the forbidden knowledge here isn't just that Maeve and the Deep fought. It's that Vought has been running this blood sport at Godolkin for decades. Think about it. Marie and Jordan's fight. Rigged. Maeve and the Deep's fight. Suspicious. Blind spot vs. Eagle the Archer. Probably staged too. These aren't just training exercises. They're test runs for stars, talent shows for bloodthirsty executives, and propaganda for Vought to pick their favorites. And if you're not chosen, well, we've seen what happens to the students who don't shine bright enough. What's even crazier is how this reframes Maeve and the Deep's dynamic in The Boys. In Season 2, Maeve constantly clowns the Deep, brushing him off like a joke. But now, she had receipts. She already fought him once and likely humiliated him in front of an arena. No wonder their chemistry was so toxic in the 7. Every time Maeve looked at the Deep, she wasn't just thinking about his cringy Fresca cult phase. She was remembering the night she destroyed him at Godolkin. Here's a hypothetical for you. Imagine if The Boys Season 3 had revealed this fight in a flashback instead of Gen V dropping it casually. Can you picture the fandom chaos? The memes? Twitter would have melted down. The Deep trending worldwide as the guy who got slapped around in college. Maeve standing there with a wine glass, smirking like, been there, done that. It would have been iconic. Instead, Vought slipped it into a highlight reel like it's no big deal. And listen, I'll roast myself here, because I've been saying since 2019 that Maeve vs. The Deep would be a dream matchup to finally prove the Deep is useful. Joke's on me. It already happened, and it probably proved the exact opposite. Classic Sophia moment. But let's circle back, because if that fight was staged, then the implications for Maeve's arc in the final season of The Boys are huge. Remember, she lost her powers after the Soldier Boy explosion, which means, in a cruel twist of irony, if she fought the Deep today, he might actually stand a chance. Imagine the rematch. The woman who once crushed him is now human, vulnerable mortal, and the man who's always been treated as the team clown finally gets to stand tall. That's not just a fight. It's poetic vengeance. And here's where Gen V might be setting up something massive. Maeve is rumored to return in Season 5 of The Boys. The Deep is still hopelessly loyal to Homelander, so what happens if they meet again? But this time, the power balance is flipped. The first fight was buried in secrecy. The second fight could be broadcast to the world. That's the kind of showdown that makes a finale legendary. So here's where things get deliciously messy. Vought didn't just give us a little Easter egg about Maeve vs. The Deep. They basically admitted that Godolkin University is less a school and more a gladiator arena. And the irony, everyone cheers for the blood like it's some sports game. That's the real forbidden truth here. We've been trained to root for these fights without realizing the trauma and corruption fueling them. Now, I've got a poll for you. If Maeve and The Deep fought again today, with Maeve without her powers, who would win? Be honest. Would The Deep actually have a shot, or would Maeve's combat instincts still outclass him even without super strength? Drop a comment with your answer, because I'm willing to bet half of you will say, Maeve all the way, while the other half will ironically stand The Deep just to see the chaos. And speaking of chaos, let me toss a hypothetical your way. What if Vought has recordings of that original Maeve vs. Deep fight sitting in a vault somewhere? Imagine the PR gold, a leaked tape showing Maeve obliterating The Deep in her prime, or worse, a doctored version where Vought edits it to make The Deep look like the winner. Suddenly, you've got fans arguing online, not just about who would win, but about which version of the fight was real. It's the kind of conspiracy theory fuel that makes Vought the perfect villain. Now, I want to call back to a point I made in an earlier video. Remember when I broke down Homelander's obsession with rewriting history? He doesn't just want to win, he wants to control the narrative of every victory. Well, guess what? Vought's been doing the exact same thing for decades. They don't just crown heroes, they manufacture myths. Maeve vs. The Deep wasn't just a fight, it was a story, twisted to fit Vought's branding. And here's where I'll lightly roast myself again. I used to joke that The Deep's only real weapon was throwing an octopus at someone's face. But let's be honest. Vought's whole career strategy for him has been the same. Distract the crowd, slap some CGI fish in the background and hope nobody notices he's out of his depth. But Maeve, she was the real deal. And that's why Vought needed to balance the scales. They couldn't afford for one star to shine too bright while another drowned in irrelevance. Now let's get emotional for a second, because this is where Maeve's story gets tragic. Her entire arc has been about being silenced, restrained, and used as a prop by Vought. She hides her true self, she hides her relationships, and now we find out they even buried her victories. The woman couldn't even own her own legacy. That fight with The Deep should have been a badge of honor. Instead, it was swept under the rug, just another casualty of Vaught's propaganda machine. And here's the big reveal that I think no one is talking about. Gen V didn't just confirm Maeve vs. The Deep happened. It foreshadowed why we need to see the rematch. Because in storytelling, when you reveal a hidden past, you're planting the seed for it to come full circle. And with Maeve likely coming back in The Boys Season 5, her unfinished business with The Deep is practically screaming for closure. Picture this: Homelander's soup army is rising, chaos is breaking out, and Maeve, stripped of her powers, is forced to stand her ground one last time. And who steps up to block her path? The Deep. Not Soldier Boy, not Black Noir, not even Homelander. No, it's the guy she humiliated in college. The guy Vought spent years propping up despite everyone knowing he's a joke. And suddenly, the Clown of the Seven becomes the ultimate test of Maeve's humanity. Let's break it down. In her prime, Maeve was untouchable. But without her powers, this becomes the fight she can't win with brute strength. She has to rely on grit, experience, and raw willpower. And here's where The Deep finally gets his moment. Not as a punchline, but as a legitimate threat. Can you imagine the tension of that scene? The audience torn between rooting for Maeve to prove she's still a warrior, and secretly dreading that The Deep might actually win. That's what I call forbidden drama. And since I know you guys love to throw curveballs in the comments, let me ask this. What if The Deep does win? What if the final season of The Boys flips the script and gives the most hated member of the Seven the victory he's never earned? Would you rage, quit the show, or would you respect the writers for taking the boldest risk possible? I'll admit it, I'd be screaming at my screen, but deep down I'd love it. Because sometimes the most painful endings are the most memorable. Now, let me meme this for a second, because if The Deep actually beats Maeve in a rematch, Twitter will have a field day. You'll see, Aquaman 1 finally gets a W, trending. People photoshopping him into Rocky montages, training with lobsters. Maeve's fans crying in the corner, while The Deep's 3 remaining stands celebrate like they just won the Super Bowl. It would be absolute chaos. And let's be real, that chaos is exactly what The Boys thrives on. And that's why I think Gen V's little reveal isn't just trivia. It's a setup. They've planted the seed, and the payoff is coming in the final season. Maeve vs. The Deep, Round 2. This time not in a hidden university arena, but on the biggest stage possible. The battlefield of a world tearing itself apart. And the outcome won't just decide who's stronger. It'll decide whose story survives. So here's my closing thought. Vought wants us to believe they control every fight, every narrative, every victory. But what if the final battle proves them wrong? What if Maeve, powerless but defiant, defeats The Deep not with strength, but with courage? Or what if The Deep, after years of humiliation, finally proves he's more than Vaught's punchline? Either way, the fight we waited 6 years for isn't just history, it's prophecy. And Gen V just confirmed the prophecy has already begun. Now it's your turn. Do you think Maeve and The Deep's rematch is inevitable in The Boys Season 5? And if so, who do you think deserves to win? The Fallen Queen or the Ocean's Clown? Drop your predictions in the comments, because I'm going to be reading every single one of them, and you know I'll roast the speciest takes in a future video. Alright, that's all for today's breakdown. If you had fun diving into Vought's forbidden secrets with me, smash that like button, share this video with your soup-obsessed friends, and let's keep this conversation alive until Season 5 drops. And remember, whether you're Team Maeve or, God help you, Team Deep, this fight is coming, and when it does, we'll be here, breaking it down every step of the way. This is Sophia, signing off from Breakdown Epic. Stay suspicious, stay dramatic, and never trust Vought's highlight reels.